Intellectuals will say to you, when they find out you're afraid to fly, they'll go, well, you know, more people die in car wrecks than they do plane crashes. I go, so? That's the way I want to go. Damn car wreck. Where I'm from, it's kind of like a tradition. We don't have heart attacks in my family, we just cross the median. Usually on the weekend. Just out drinking. I'm trying to outrun the repo man. Well, look at it. Look, folks, at least if you die in a car wreck, they can always retrieve the body. And being Baptist, we need that. You give us something to embalm and some of that tater salad. Hell, we can have a funeral. This ashes in an urn ain't for us. Hell no, we're gonna throw dirt on somebody. If you hear a Baptist talk about cremating, that's not a full-blood Baptist. He's probably married outside his faith. If you hear a Baptist talk about burning something, it's gonna be biscuits or leaves. It's not gonna be Uncle Larry. And you folks know this is true. We do. We respond to every tragedy in life with food. A damn covered dish. We'll knock on somebody's front door and go, sorry to hear about your son-in-law. Here's some baked beans. We would come in for a minute, but Walmart closes at 10. And if I'm going to that funeral, I need me something real nice to wear. And speaking of a covered dish, go back in your mind when you were a kid, like just yay big. And everybody would be out here on the front porch after supper, just sitting around talking. Remember that? Remember when, about an old generation ago, when we Americans were more civilized than we are today? Remember we would actually eat supper all at the same time, remember that? And either your mother or grandmother would go, don't worry about the dishes, they'll wait. Just go to the porch. Everybody got the front porch, sit around, talk, burp. Ah, damn. I ain't gonna never eat cooked cabbage again. Let me show y'all the difference. When my first cousin died, you know, he's the one that drilled himself to death. He had a high-powered Black & Decker drill, and he was gonna put the screw back in his cowboy belt buckle. And I told him, I said, I'll take that belt off first. He said, don't tell me how to use my drill. I said, okie dokie. Well, he gets about halfway through and sneezes. He'd have been all right, but while he was waiting on the paramedics, he backed it out. Well, now just a few weeks later, this is my side of the family. I had another cousin by marriage, which means I don't feel sorry for them. Hell, they volunteered. Well, how stupid do you have to be? You start dating a girl, you think you're kind of halfway in love with her. She takes you home to meet her folks for the first time. You pull up in the driveway, there sits all the men folks out on the front porch, next to an old freezer.
discussing the rain, and a handful of lottery tickets. And you look at that and go, I'd like to be a part of all this. Anyway, he's the one that got killed while he was using a chainsaw. Well, he had always wanted a chainsaw, and it was his birthday. So everybody kind of pitched in. There was 112 of us. 85 cents a piece. And we told him, we said, you ain't gonna get no Christmas. Anyway, he was out back there cutting down fence posts because they didn't have no trees. Matter of fact, it wasn't his fence. So the neighbor shot him. Well, when they died, being my side of the family, you know what she brought over here? 4 deviled eggs. I wouldn't mind losing a cousin if somebody would bring meatloaf. But 4 deviled eggs. I told my wife, I said, never again. I can't take a day off work for a damn snack.